Hi friends. Another transmission from the bathtub. So I just learned that my grandma passed away yesterday, and the funeral was today. And she lives in Bulgaria. Lived. And she was 93. And was still walking, but not so good. So we knew that was coming at one point. And I was a little sad, but at the same time happy for her, because she was in pain. She had all kinds of aches and pains. And now she's free of that body and back home. So I took the afternoon to just communicate with her and express my gratitude for her playing my grandma in this life, and recount memories that I have with her and her qualities and what I've learned from her. And I felt like happy and sad at the same time, because I have this knowing that death is simply a doorway and nothing ever dies, and her soul is free now. And I had this vision of her as a young woman and felt this sense of love coming from her, and joy and peace and happiness. And at the same time, the fact that I'm not going to see her in a body anymore. In that particular body. So there's emotion for you. Which that is all there is, like energy, emotion, and being able to experience both of these emotions at the same time. That gratitude and joy and happiness. And at the same time, the sadness and letting go. And that got me thinking on really the understanding that we have about death, and how many people are afraid of it, and we think of it as something really bad, and then we are worried, like if somebody dies and then we didn't separate on good terms, or we mourn them for a long time, and it's normal and it's natural. Yet at the same time, I believe if there was a little bit more clarity of what happens, and now there is a lot more, because there are so many channels where people talk about their near-death experiences, and that overwhelming love that they feel, and that death is nothing else but like taking an old suit off. And I had that experience with the man that was my twin flame, and I had a very intense connection with. When he committed suicide, he stayed with me for a few days in spirit form, and I was having so many realizations and insights. So I feel we do need more of awareness of who we are, our nature as a soul in a body, what death is, and then ultimately the purpose of life, which everybody tells you is just to love. And a lot of times we take it upon ourselves to, question and judge, but instead of looking at being here on earth as some experience that it's like an ordeal, or you have to achieve something, and take it upon yourself to like fix the world or have some mission like that. It's much easier and simpler if we look at it more as a classroom, where we have souls that are on a different part of their journey either moving away from source or coming back into source with all of the experience that they have gathered. And in the same way, in a school, you have them different classes. You have first grade, second, third, whatever. Somebody who is first grade and is just now learning to read and write and do simple math, it cannot be compared in terms of knowledge and experience to somebody that is eighth grade and has a lot more awareness and practice in those subjects. So if we look at Earth as a classroom and have that awareness that we're all on different levels, then we can have more compassion with somebody who does not act from the same level of consciousness and awareness as we do. And sometimes it could be because they have less experience, and I want to say it like that, not like no less. Or sometimes it's because they have more experience. And in any case, it's up to us to be able to be compassionate and see, and also maybe, I have more experience in a certain subject because I have spent more lifetimes studying it. But you have more experience than others. So we can exchange experience and knowing in those different areas. And I can teach you something, and you can teach me something. And those exchanges are what life is about. And the more we grow in awareness, the more we start to have this view of reality. And instead of being quick to judge, we aim more to understand. And instead of trying to divide the world into good and bad and right and wrong, and we have that mission of eradicating evil and fighting for good, we realized, wait a minute, this is so silly, because everything exists because it's supposed to exist, because it's a classroom, and we need to be able to learn from contrast. So then we turn more into love. And we can also see that experience on the level of the body, mind, heart, and soul. When we're on the level of the body, which would kind of be like the lowest, not low in terms of bad, just kind of like entry level, then our desires are for food and for sex. Kind of like animals, right? Which is nothing wrong in those desires. Then when we enter the level of the mind, we start to be interested in knowledge and the different disciplines, and sometimes a person can focus strictly on one and really go further into it. So we just aim to collect and gather knowledge. Then when we move to the heart and in the realm of feeling, we move more into intuition, that inner knowing, going with those natural rhythms and gaining that wisdom from within. We learn that we're connected to everyone and everything, and if we just go within and become familiar with our nature, we can develop our higher faculties like intuition, imagination, vision, like insight, and we can derive the knowledge from there, which is much more alive, and I call it knowing, because it changes all the time based on the changes in the environment, because everything is connected, like the butterfly effect. So when one thing changes, like a kaleidoscope, everything else around it changes as well. So on that level of the heart and feeling, everything is a lot more alive and dynamic. And we move into that space of loving everything, good and bad, like they just kind of start to blend. All of the opposites start to unite. because we realize that without the one, the other cannot exist, and they're actually the same thing. And then when we eventually are done with learning on that level, we can transcend all of it and enter that space of having no desires, because we have fulfilled all of the desires. And in that stage, we're completely, I guess, enlightened would be the word, because the darkness was just unfamiliar stuff. And the more we shed light into it through knowing and learning and growing and experiencing, then we fill ourselves up with more and more and more and more and more light, and we transcend. So this is my level of understanding, and through dying and coming back and dying and coming back, we're going through those cycles of Maya or samsara, or just like going through this illusion we've created for ourselves for the purpose of learning and fun. And we consciously choose to forget when we come in the body, and then remember and forget and remember. And the more knowing we gather, the more we remember, and we love, and we serve through teaching and teaching through example and experience, and spreading that light and eliminating more of the darkness. So it's really beautiful the way it all works. And seeing death as nothing more or less but a new opportunity for life, and a new opportunity to come into another body, a body that is young, and a body that works great, and then open our eyes anew to this incredible experience that we've created on earth, and become familiar with everything again and see it for the first time. It's miraculous and marvelous, and really beautiful and fascinating. In the same way, the trees shed their leaves, and then there are new leaves that come in spring. Life is this constant process of death and rebirth, and it's that death, life, death cycle that when we accept it and we live that with that idea also, I can die at any moment, nothing is guaranteed. And then we really focus more on living and the quality of that life, and are we learning, are we growing, are we experiencing the things that our heart and soul want to experience, or are we stagnating, and is there something that we want to do but we have fear around it, and how can we face that fear, move past it, and continue this constant growth and expansion and adventure alive. So I'm excited for my grandma, and for the space that she's in now, and what's to come for her. I hope this gives you a little different perspective. And again, this is just my understanding from my life experience, but I don't want to impose it on anybody. And I'm not saying it's the truth, because everybody has their own personal truth. And I enjoy hearing other viewpoints and contributing with mine.